Hello guys, Carman back with another review. Today we've got a brand new Tiguan and it's sort of base spec. So today we're going to be asking the question, does base spec cover all your needs in a car? For now, let's get on to the montage. So the Volkswagen Tiguan is a mid-sized SUV crossover. It falls in between the T-Roc and the Touareg of the Volkswagen lineup. It rivals with the BMW X1, the XC40 and the Audi Q3, which actually shares the same chassis. Now, this is a Tiguan Life and it's a Gen 2, so we've got these really nice LED headlamps, the standard as well as tail lights. They look really nice. Gen 1 had these really ugly halogens which didn't look nice. Obviously this is a base spec as we discussed, so it's a Life. So it comes with these sort of plasticky bumpers, fake vents here. Obviously you can opt for the R-line, but that's an optional extra. If we move on to the wheels, they come 18 inches standard, which I believe they actually look better than the 19 inches, believe it or not. But obviously if you compare it to the R-line again, you get diamond cut wheels with those, they look much better. If we move on to the side, we've got a really nice square design. It's really, Volkswagen have actually added a nice little design feature, you know, if you're blind, you know, you'll be like, oh, what have I got, what am I driving? Oh, it's a Volkswagen, oh. Yeah, so that's a really nice feature. To move on to the rear, again, I just think these Gen 2 Tiguans look really nice and smart, really nice square design. Again, you've got the LED tail lamps, they look really nice. And for the Gen 2 again, they've resorted to this sort of Range Rover style badging as they've done with the Golf and all the models actually. They've got it in the centre. I'd say it looks nice, but again, more fakery. Look, I know it's like the Matt Watson stick of truth. We've got the toe hook of truth. Look, they do these fake sort of designs when the exhaust is actually underneath. Yeah, so it's just everyone's doing it, but Volkswagen and Audi I've seen are the worst contenders for this design trend. BMW so far so good. They keep their exhaust real nice and actual real, you know. In it, so they're giving actual exhaust tips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then, so yeah, I mean in general, the design of the Tiguan is very nice outside. It has a lot of presence, I'd say, especially for a mid-sized SUV. So yeah, let's move on into the interior. So, you join us inside the Tiguan. It's a very ergonomic design. Everything's where you want it to be, classic Volkswagen. But what they've done with their newer generation of cars is they've made everything touchscreen. So if you look here, the screen is riddled with fingerprints, and when you're on the move, it's not that easy to use. But I can forgive that. What I can't forgive is the climate control also being touchscreen. You know, that is the number one thing you want to be adjusting constantly on the move. You know, if you're feeling too hot, you know, you don't want to be sliding around. You can tap it as well, but again, you know, you always just end up overshooting it or undercutting it. It's just quite annoying to use. Now, thankfully, unlike the Mark 8, the light controls are actually manual. You know, there's actually just a normal rotary dial. On the Mark 8, it's horrendous. Literally touchscreen. You don't understand how it works. It's rubbish. This, they've kept it nice and simple. As for storage space, you know, the glove box is quite small. The door bins are quite small. You've got this little under storage here. As for the cup holders, they're all right, but they do seem a bit flimsy to hold the drinks in. But yeah, in terms of the actual infotainment, it is quite smooth to operate. Things, again, the widgets and the apps, they are where they are meant to be. You know, if you want to, it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Bear in mind, guys, this is a base spec car. It's got dual zone climate control, it's got Apple CarPlay, it's got Android Auto. So we have to give Volkswagen credit for that. As for the dials, as standard, they come as analog clocks with quite a various bit of information displayed in the middle, to be fair. You know, you can get your navigation, you can have your audio, you can have your telephone, you know, all sorts of things. And yeah, it also shows you as you're driving along, as we'll see later, it also shows you your active cruise control and the various other autonomous driving features. Now, if we hop on into the rear, these seats, again, because of the Tiguan's boxy shape, you know, headroom is very big. You know, we can use some of the lights here. The headroom's very big. The seats can fit easily 3 adults abreast. The transmission tunnel isn't too steep as well. I forgot to mention as well, these front seats, they feel like sitting on an armchair. Honestly, they're so comfortable. They are obviously, being a base spec, again, not the R-line seats. They are manually operated, no electric seat function here. These seats also do recline to an extent. They also kind of move forward and backwards, so that's good. If we move on to the rear for the boot. Right, so before we actually move on to the back, I forgot to mention, you know, you've got USB-C cable here, you've got a 12-volt socket here, and even though it's a base spec, you've actually got rear zone climate control. You know, you can operate it with again, these annoying touch screen buttons, but again, you can see they're not exactly the most ideal to use. But you've also got 2 cup holders in the back, you know, so a nice little armrest as well. That's nice. Again, fairly standard stuff. If we move on to the rear, the boot, yes, we've got stuff in it, but it's very spacious. 520 litres of space. You know, you can chuck in a few luggages in there. You've got underfloor storage as well. And also, because those seats recline back, you can actually push them a bit forward and you get 100 more litres of space. So quite good. But that covers the interior and the exterior. Let's talk about what's up. So, this current car with its spec, like I said, it is base spec silver. The only optional extras this car has is the black metallic paint and this 1.5 TSI engine. This is actually the 150 brake horsepower unit. They come standard with 130 brake. This has 150 braking and it has 250 newton meters of torque, and it's paired with the 7-speed DSG automatic. Now, that costs a £2,000 optional extra, whereas they actually come with a 6-speed manual as standard. Definitely, guys, opt for the automatic. This kind of car, the DSG boxes, they're very good, but this kind of car, it just suits an automatic. So we've covered all the bases. I think now it's just time to take it for a drive. So guys, what is the Volkswagen Tiguan like to drive? Well, you have to think back of what it was built for. This car was built for the school run. It was built for shopping trips. So its main purpose is to be a comfortable car that can sort of take away the miles of a drive. And I think that's exactly what this car does. You know, as you can see, it's got active cruise control right now. I've got it activated, and it's braking actually, even for the cyclists in front of us. So it's actually a really good system. One thing I do have to critique is the lane assist. So whilst this car can drive itself in low light conditions, it does tend to struggle. You will see, especially on the A40, during the 30-mile-an-hour sections, the lane assist will just struggle to read the lines on the floor, and it will actually end up cancelling it altogether. But I will say the active cruise control feature is very good. You know, you can adjust the sort of distance that you want to keep between the vehicle in front of you, and in general it's just quite good. In terms of the engine, so this is the 1.5. Because it is petrol, and because it's technically a small
sort of engine for this vehicle of size and weight. It does sort of, you know, it's not the most refined thing in the world. You know, it's quite loud, you can hear it in the interior cabin, and in terms of the power delivery, it is punchy, don't get me wrong. The torque is nice, but you do have to rev out the car to get all the power out, which isn't ideal. Which is why I'd highly recommend the 2-litre TDI. I think that's much better suited for this character of car. And yeah, but the gearbox is very nice and responsive. DSG, so Volkswagen know how to do it right with these DSG boxes. Only complaint I'd have is, again, because I think it's more to do with the engine combination, it doesn't seem to know which gear is ideal for the situation sometimes. So you might find yourself holding the revs, or you might suddenly see yourself kicking down when you only just want to just give a little bit of a push. But other than that, the car drives really smooth. The suspension is great. It deals with the bumps, it just irons them out. And bear in mind, this is a base spec car, so there's no air suspension going on here. It's just standard steel springs, and yet it deals with the bumps really well. As for the chassis, it's not the most communicative thing, but that's not what it's designed for. It's not a sports car at the end of the day, but it has got good mechanical grip. It just doesn't give you a lot of speed back through the steering wheel, but again, the trade-off is you get really light steering, and you know, it makes it quite convenient to steer around town and parking. But in general, this car is a cruiser. The only issue I have as well, the fuel economy. This being, again, the petrol, it does tend to be quite thirsty. I think it's because, again, this is a heavy car after all. So, you know, especially if you're driving quite spirited. This car is front wheel drive as well, being base spec. So when it's wet as well, when you try to come out of junctions, it does tend to slip quite a lot. The brake pedal is quite nice. Again, good bite to them. Again, feedback's never been Volkswagen's forte, but again, like, you can't be talking about this car like it's a Renault Clio or a BMW. So yeah, this car is quite good for what it's built for. Just get the 2-litre TDI, get the DSG, and you're good to go. What's my overall verdict on the Volkswagen Tiguan? It's a very sensible all-rounder, you know, very practical, comes with a quite decent amount of spec for base spec, you know, you've got quite a lot of tech. Now, my only main gripe with it is if it was to come with electric mirrors and heated seats, that would be the answer to today's video. You can live with the base spec car, but really and truly, if you only spec about, what, 800 quid's worth of options, you know, you're looking at actually quite a decent car. Please like, share and subscribe, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's review. I know it's not your typical kind of car, but I like to get any kind of car I can on the channel. You know, as long as I'm producing more content for you guys, the better. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe. Take care, guys. Peace out.